Good evening, everyone, and welcome from First Energy Stadium. Reading Fightin Phils baseball back in action, and double the action tonight. Doubleheader for you tonight. First game gets underway at 5, and the Reading Phils and the Altoona Curve as they continue in game now 4 and 5 in this 6-game homestand for the Phils and the Curve. We're on Tompkins Plaza, which will be opening up in a few minutes. And alongside my broadcast partner, Jake Starr, my name is Bob McCool. This is the pregame show brought to you by Mike's Sandwich Shop, right down the street from where we sit at Pern Street and Center Avenue here in the historic district. And our guest, the man in the middle, is one of the men who were on the mound, I want to say last night, but it was Thursday night for the Phils, and that is Tyler Phillips. Tyler's pitched 5 innings coming out of the bullpen, although he is by trade now a starting pitcher for the Phils. And so, Tyler, let's talk about that. It's a great outing for you. 5 innings, didn't give up a run, struck out 5. But we're all creatures of habit, and you're a starting pitcher. You had to come out of the bullpen because Ranger Suarez on the rehab start. So talk a little bit about that, if you would, about that mindset and how it was a change for you to have to come out of the bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, you want me to hold this?
No, you're good.
All right. I mean, it's a game of adjustments, you know. So I have a job to do at the end of the day, so I need to be ready to go. For me, I haven't pitched out of the bullpen, I think, since 2019, back when I was in Frisco with the Rangers. That's Double-A there. Edison Volquez was opening, same deal. He was doing a rehab start, so I've never been a fan of coming out of the bullpen. I give those guys a lot of credit. I don't know how they do it. That's a different side of the mental game that I haven't mastered yet. But for me, I talked with the coaching staff. I talked with some of the relievers, and they just gave me some advice on how to handle all of that. And honestly, it wasn't that bad. Right when Ranger got out there, I started playing catch on the mound. Tried to keep my routine pretty much the same. Because it is the same game. I'm still, once I cross that line, I'm getting onto the mound, and my job is to get those guys out and give my team a chance to win. So if I let any other outside things creep into my head, then it's just not going to go well for me. So just got to make that adjustment. My start, instead of being at 6:45, was at 7:15 for me. So
it's a different time zone. Just one follow-up to that, and not to belabor the point, but there's also a guy here doing a rehab who you can kind of consult with a little bit, and that's Nick Nelson, because he's done that same thing throughout his career, really, and certainly at the major leagues by being both a starter and being a long guy, being a reliever. So he's done a little bit of all of that, and he's here with you guys, so it's another guy you can kind of throw things by.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, once you cross those lines, it's you got a job to do, and what we do with these two guys around, you can pick their brains as much as you want. They're both great guys to be around. But I think just observing them is the best thing you can do. Just watching how they go about their business. They're true professionals about it, and that's what we all aspire to be. So it's really good having them around.
So one thing me and you had a chance to talk about the other day before your start was just changing your mindset as your time progressed. And one of the adages that you kind of hit on was you wanted to be the best Tyler Phillips you could be, not try and be another pitcher that you're not. What brought you to that realization to try and focus more on that mindset side of things, and how did you kind of start to make that change?
Well, I was talking to you about that the other day. When we were in Portland, one of our peak performance coaches was in town. Our mental skills coach, Bree, was in town. And I had a talk with her. We like to talk about self-awareness a lot. That was a big thing we talked about during spring. And I just kind of took a step back and reflected about how the beginning of my season was going. And for me, this is my first season since, what was it, 2021, 2020, I guess. So it's definitely a big change for me, just coming back into it and trying to compete again. When you're rehabbing that whole shutdown area, that 2021, it was more tinkering with things, trying to figure out who I am as a person and as a player. And throughout spring and rehab, nothing counted. So for me, I would just go out and have fun, mess around, talk to my teammates while they're hitting against me, just see what they saw out of me. So I had a really good spring, and coming into the season, I think for me personally, I was just starting to feel that things counted again. I was putting a little extra pressure on myself, trying to make everything happen in one outing, and not to mention the butterflies that would come back in, because after not pitching for 2 years, it's definitely something that I need to readjust or reacclimate to. So, like I said, when I took a step back and just looked at how my season was starting off, it wasn't exactly how I wanted to be. I would say that I was messing around with different personalities. I mentioned to you that I was trying to be like a tough guy, or like rah-rah, chest out. That's not me. That's pretty exhausting, honestly. My outing against Hartford, I was also not being me. It was a little bit more timid. I was trying to avoid bats, and that never goes well. So I had a great conversation in the dugout with David Parkinson and Mick Abel. We were talking about just how hitters, their approaches, how their stats play, and pitchers, we're at the advantage all the time. I mean, for one, they don't know what we're throwing. You look at us, we're all pretty physical pitchers, and we look at their averages, and their averages in baseball, you go 3 for 10, and you're doing pretty good for yourself. So the conversation we had was just like, yeah, that's a lot of failure. So I'm going to put the cards on my side and just go right at guys and challenge them and make them hit the ball. So that was a big mindset change that I had that I think contributed to my success last outing.
When you look at a baseball team from our perspective, pitchers hang with pitchers, hitters hang with hitters. I thought it was interesting, one of the comments you brought up Mick Abel, that Mick was talking about in his time with the Phillies in spring training. He actually got some advice talking to Reese Hoskins and talking to him about how he saw his pitchers. So it's kind of a different mindset, because you just talked about it, that you're talking to your pitchers and fellow pitchers. Once in a while, you pick the brains of the hitters and see what they're thinking and what they're viewing from you as a pitcher, and it kind of might change your perspective a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's super valuable to just use all the resources you have. And I genuinely believe it's from the top down. We watch how the big leagues handle their business, and they're all open, they're all friendly, they're a team, they're brothers. And what I noticed being with the Phillies is that that's how it is the whole way through the system. I'll give an example here. During spring training, I would ask Carlos De La Cruz. I'd ask him to come and stand in on bullpens, and I think I would just run through a sequence on him, and he'd tell me what he saw. He'd tell me if he saw something, if he would hit it, and we would just talk about what he would be looking for as a hitter there. And I think the chemistry all throughout the organization is one where you can go and approach a hitter if you need to, or a hitter can approach a pitcher if you need to, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to win. We're trying to contribute to the ultimate goal and to make it to the big leagues and win a World Series. But here in AA, we're trying to win games, and we all want to progress through our career. So I think that here, AAA, low A, high A, wherever you are, big leagues, I think that they've done a good job of showing us how to handle our business.
And after the year off last year from the surgery, you had the chance to get the opening day start for this team. What did that honor mean to you to get the ball to start the season pretty much right away?
I mean, I was pretty excited about it, honestly. It's always a huge honor to just kind of lead the charge for your squad, and I love being like that silent leader. That's a role that I like to have. Just go out and do business, and my goal is to throw as many innings as I can and to put my team in that position to win. And it's not necessarily being the opening day guy or like being the man to go to. How I see it is the guys who come after me, I'm setting the tone for them. So if I go 5 innings and Mick was the day after me, I'm expecting him to go 6. And then whoever was after him, Josh Hendrickson, I'm expecting him to try to go 7. And I want us to build off of each other. So I think it's a huge honor for me, just being an older guy after the surgery. I mean, I put in a lot of hard work throughout my rehab and throughout my spring training to put myself in a position to do that. And the organization putting their trust into me to be that guy, that tickled me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty happy about it, and everyone understands their roles, and like I said, I just want to build off of each other.
Jake mentioned the surgery, and that's the words that nobody wants to hear in the world of baseball anymore, and that's Tommy John surgery. It cost you all of 2022. It actually happened for you at the end of the 2021 season. When you look back on it, were you kind of pitching through some pain and some issues through 2021 before you had to really make the realization that, you know what, it's time?
Yeah, I mean, my story, I could go on for a long time about that one. Like I said, I mean, throughout 2020, there was a lot of, I'll try to make this as short as I can. Throughout 2020, there was a lot of just messing around with new things or trying to hit different pitch metrics. So for me, I was just messing around with a lot of different arm slots, arm actions, release points, trying new pitches when I was in Texas. And I think I actually got hurt in May of 21. I started in Frisco, was cruising a little bit, I think through 4 or 5 outings. I had a little hiccup in my elbow. I was in Midland. I had 4 strikeouts through 2 innings. I was feeling really good, but my elbow did not feel good. And I was wincing on the mound. My catcher saw it, pitching coach saw it, so they shut me down for a little bit. And then I wasn't really the same after that. You know, I think it was just because I'm an athlete and I'm able to pitch around pain. Like, I don't ever want to take myself out of the game. So I took 2 weeks off and I just kept pitching all the way up until I got to this point where I went back to the way that I wanted to throw instead of how the Rangers had me throwing. And when I was here in 21, again, felt really good. It was the hardest I was ever throwing. Little did I know that that's your UCL stretching out, and it's ready to go. So after 4 outings here, I went back to Lakewood for a little rehab appearance, and that's when I just couldn't do it anymore. I told the trainer, like, yeah, I think I'm gonna pull myself out of this game. My elbow doesn't feel good. I don't want it to be any worse than it could possibly be. Next day, I got an MRI and it was fully torn. So when I got my surgery, my surgeon, Dr. Kremchek, he was a Reds doctor. My agency recommended me to him, and once he did the surgery, it was 45 minutes, and he said that there was enough scar tissue in there for the tear to have been there all year. So I think that I truly, like, probably partially tore it in May and just found a way to pitch around the pain until late August there. So
it's probably an unfair question, but in hindsight, what was the more difficult, the mental or the physical recovery?
Mental. Yeah. Physical, I mean, I want to be back so bad. That's where you get that hunger to be back in the game. And you have all that time to work on things that you never really got to in the past. So that came super easy to me. I'm competitive. I want to get into the weight room. I want to be the strongest guy there. I want to be the fastest guy there. And I might not be, but I'm going to do everything I can to improve to get to that point. The mental side was a killer, though. When I'm sitting at home after my early morning day and I'm watching opening day games, I have a lot of teammates who are in AAA in the big leagues. And I'm watching them, and I'm watching them be successful, and I'm watching them go and get to do the things that they love. That really hurt me. So what I did have to do to cope with that a little, I downloaded MLB The Show, played a lot of that as myself, and practiced pitching there because I couldn't do it in real life. But I think that was the hardest part, and going through. I mean, you get your arm cut open, right? You're healing, but you want to compete when you go out and play, when you're finally able to start playing catch, and your arm doesn't feel good, and you want it to feel good. You know what you felt in the past before, but that's where the mental skills coaches, they come into play. And we have some really good people with the Phillies, and they help walk me through it. And they said, dude, you got cut open, you're not going to feel good. But if you look this good and you don't feel that, and you don't feel good, imagine how you're going to be when you're feeling healthy. So it was just constant every day. And there's some people here right now, Brittany Gooch and Aaron Barrett. They're here with Ranger and Nick right now, and they're still telling me the same things. So the mental side, it's nonstop in baseball. The physical side, it's pretty easy. I mean, you come in, if you want it that bad, the physical side comes easy. But mental, that's where you really got to work.
And what'd you learn about yourself in that year off?
I will say that I learned how to be a dad a little bit. At the time, my son was 13 months old when we first got to Clearwater, and I think I really needed that. I think I really needed that time off to just be a dad and to just get rid of some pressures. And that's, again, what I'm talking about is that mental side of the game. You want to be in the big leagues so bad, and you end up putting too much pressure on yourself as a player, and everyone's guilty of it. I think that's really the biggest thing that I learned was how to just relax, go out and have fun. I mean, I don't think that Bryce Harper's going out there and putting pressure on himself or Aaron Nola. Like, they obviously want to win, but they're just doing what they love, So that's what I tried to get back to, is just not being such a perfectionist. Like, it's good to be a perfectionist. It's good to want to compete and to want to be the best, but I took that time to just be a human again, and not be a robot. Just be a dad, go out, do my rehab, and get back home and just reflect on some things. And that was really big for me.
And how hard is it as a pitcher? And really, it's any positional player, especially when you come back from a ligament tear. You're back on the mound for the first time, just to think to yourself, not to pitch scared, because I'm sure so many guys come back and they pitch in their head, I want to do everything I can not for it to snap again, not to make the same mistake I made last time. How do you just completely let go of that and just mentally try to get over that block of I don't want to get hurt again and just pitching not scared?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't felt that in a long time. But I know that's something that a lot of guys go through, and I went through it early. And right when I first started my live BPs, you just kind of, it's hard. It takes like a warrior's mindset, I think. There's a lot of guys who are still rehabbing now, and a lot of guys that in my time throughout rehab that were fresh off their surgeries. They would ask me like how do you just like turn it off? I'm like, dude, you just leave it in God's hand, If it's gonna go, if you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna get hurt. But for me personally, if I went and did all the work that I needed to, if I got into the weight room, didn't skip a rep, if I did everything that my PT has asked of me, if I took care of my dry work and did everything right, just replicated everything, I trusted that I wasn't going to be hurt. I think that's where it all starts. Is just taking care of your business. I believe that if I skip a rep, it's going to be, if I skip a rep or I skip a set or if I take a throw off, that's going to separate me from being a minor leaguer and a major leaguer. So I put that into my rehab. I put that in my elbow, and I said if I skip a rep or take a throw off or take a set off, that's going to separate if I'm healthy or not. So I think you just got to trick yourself into saying, just taking that governor off and just going for it.
This is the pregame show, Fightin Phils and the Altoona Curve. And again, first pitch of Game 1 of the doubleheader is scheduled for 5 o'clock here at First Energy Stadium. And our pregame show is brought to you by Mike's Sandwich Shop. The people here in the Historic District will tell you the best cheesesteaks in town. Tyler Phillips is our guest. He's a South Jersey native, which means you know a little bit about cheesesteaks. How much education time have you spent with the guys in that clubhouse to explain to them what a real cheesesteak is?
I don't think that they'll ever get it. I've been trying to teach them how to order one. And to make it easier for them, I just tell them to go both ways. You got to go one with and one without, I can't tell them where to go though, or tell them what to get. I always give them hell, man. If they go to some random place and say, yeah, I'll take a Philly cheesesteak. Like if we're in like Texas, I'm like, that's not a Philly cheesesteak, dude. Get out of here.
Exactly right.
So honestly, I think you just have to experience one on your own to understand it, but I don't think they'll ever get it.
Now we know. Walk down the street. It's about 2 blocks to Mike's Sandwich Shop and get a real Philly cheesesteak.
So South Jersey guy, are you a Wawa guy?
I am, but it's usually after a late night.
What's the go-to order?
Okay, so I'm a buffalo chicken tender sandwich, medium mac and cheese. Throughout high school, it was kind of gross. It would get get the half-gallon chocolate milk because I was trying to gain weight. So I didn't care. I didn't care how anything tasted. It was a weird order. Maybe some chips with that, whatever it is, sour cream, cheddar, Ruffles. Can't be doing that very often anymore, though. It's that'll shorten my career a little bit, I think. So.
And Texas has some great convenience stores too. I've heard there's a ton of just huge supermarket, Wawa-like convenience stores down there. So, sure, it rivals a little bit of what we have up here.
Yeah, I mean, you got Buc-ee's all down there, and it's pretty hard to compete with. I mean, they're massive. Honestly, it's probably about the size of baseball town here, and they got everything you could think of. It's like a kid walking into a candy store. Like literally, there's candy everywhere, beef jerky everywhere, everything. I think my parents were there on the drive back from Florida. There's one, and my mom counted. I think there was 128 gas pumps. So yeah, everything's bigger when you get down there.
But for you being here in Reading, obviously the ultimate goal is to be back in your home territory in Philadelphia. But from your perspective now, no longer a part of the Rangers organization, but here in the Phillies organization and being here in baseball town, got to be kind of cool for your family to be able to come and watch you play.
I mean, it's awesome. I mean, this is something that I dreamed of as a kid. And obviously now my dream is to be a major leaguer. But I'm super biased towards the Phillies. I grew up a Philly fan my whole life, and I walk around here and I see all the history. I see like pictures of Scott Rowland and Mike Schmidt and all these, and Cole Hamels. I see all these, or Ryan Howard and Jimmy Rollins. I see all these guys, and it almost brings a tear to my eye just to think about myself as a kid. I don't think I ever made it to Reading as a child, but I've been to every other affiliate. I used to go to Lakewood all the time growing up. I did my area code tryouts in Lehigh. Like it's just, it means a lot, and I'm an hour and a half away from home. My friends and family, they get to come up here pretty much every start, and they love it. They're diehard Phillies fans too, and they get to see what's coming up their way, and just to have a good support system behind me, it means a lot.
It's the beauty of baseball town. Tyler Phillips, thanks for spending some time with us. We're going to let you go. We know you got to get back to work, and you and Jake and I have to get back to some work as well. First pitch scheduled for 5 o'clock. The Reading Fightin Phils, the Altoona Curve on the Reading Phils Radio Network.